Criminologists have categorized crime into 7 broad types. Let's begin with the more rare type. First of all, we have crimes against the state or the sovereign. These types of crimes would really don't happen often. They include things like treason, or trying to lead a coup, or try to murder the head of state. Next, we have white-collar crimes. It's kind of spending crimes against property, usually things like committing fraud within your company, or inciting trade is usually controversy around these types of crimes, because people believe the punishment people receive for them is much lighter than usual crimes against property. Next, we have public order offenses. These include things like swearing in public or disturbing the peace. Then there are drug offenses. These include everything from possessing illegal drug right up to the sale and distribution of huge amounts of drugs. This is much more common than traffic offenses. These include things like driving under the influence of DUIs, as they're as commonly called, as well speeding, running red light, and usually parking around the places or inappropriate places. Next, we have crimes against person. These we're talking about domestic violence crime and kidnapping, which is a lot more common than people think and usually revolves around custody battles. We have crimes against property. This includes everything from stealing a motor vehicle to burglary, as well as vandalism of property. Junko was a good girl who lived in Misato, Japan. She didn't drink, she didn't smoke, and she was well loved by her classmates. Junko was a beautiful 16-year-old and this likely contributed to her popularity. Unfortunately, her beauty caught the eye of the school bully as well. When Hiroshi Miyano asked Junko out and she respectfully but firmly declined, this made him furious. Miyano was not used to being said no to. He was not only the school bully, but a known affiliate of the Yakuza. The Yakuza are essentially the gangsters of Japan, a huge crime organization known countrywide for their ruthlessness. Naturally, Miyano was set on revenge. On November 25, 1988, as Junko was biking home from her part-time job, a random boy assailed her. Junko fell off her bike as the boy ran away and Miyano across the street ran over to help her. Miyano offered to walk her home. Unsuspecting, Junko accepted the offer. Little did she know Miyano and 3 other high school friends were completing their plan to capture her. The 4 boys responsible for the capture and subsequent torture of Junko Furuta are Hiroshi Miyano, Nobuharu Minato, Kamisako Jo, and Yasushi Watanabe. At first, Miyano raped her repeatedly in an abandoned warehouse, but he and his friends decided it would be more fun to completely kidnap her. They brought her to Nobuharu's house and there subjected her to even more brutality. The boys forced Junko to call her parents and tell them that she was running away and not to look for her because she was doing well. Junko's next 44 days were filled with unimaginable pain. 100 different men would rape Junko over 500 times. She was raped, sodomized, beaten, and starved. They amused themselves by forcing her to masturbate in front of them and inserting different objects into her genitals. The following objects were cruelly inserted into Junko's vagina: scissors, a bottle, an iron bar, a hot exploding light bulb, grilled chicken skewers, roasting needles, and an exploding firework. Junko's internal organs would be subjected to so much trauma that she eventually lost control of urinary and bowel movements. When the men and boys got too disgusted to continue sexually assaulting her, the severity of beating increased. Among the other many sick things involved in this case, the parents of Miyano knew about the girl being held captive in their house. At first, they had been convinced that Junko was Miyano's girlfriend, but when Junko begged them to help her escape, they became fully aware of the horror that was taking place. The Minatos were too afraid of reprisal from the Yakuza and would later blame Junko for Nobuharu's imprisonment. Junko's torture continued. They urinated on her, hung her from the ceiling, and used her as a punching bag. Crush her stomach with dumbbells, smash her face against the cement floor, beat her with golf clubs and iron rods, force her to eat live cockroaches and drink her own urine, made her sleep on the balcony in the cold winter, stuck her in a freezer for hours, and twisted off one of her nipples with pliers. 20 days into her torture, Junko managed to dial an emergency number, but the boys snatched the phone from her and hung up before Junko was able to say anything. As punishment, they poured lighter fuel on Junko's legs and feet to set them on fire, burned her eyelids with lighters and hot wax, and smashed her fingers. One day, a boy who had participated in one of the raping sessions felt guilty, so he told his parents what they had done. His parents called the police and sent them to the Minato household.